Well, Andy, I guess it's time to get busy for another session. This is, well, it's not necessarily my last session. I'm going to make a little appearance in Shreyas's at
nice.
midnight tonight, but just a brief one. He's going to be running the all that show, and then tomorrow a little wrap up with Toby, huh?
Yeah, looking forward to that as well.
And then Monday Toby back to work.
Yeah. Toby was actually in the chat. He said Andy always goes into bonus time. Toby knows better than anybody that I go into bonus time because he's constantly the one trying to rein me in. He's gotten good at it. You're not good at it.
I'm not. I egg you on, man. I'm worse. I'm like, I make it way worse. Yes, but it's fun. Yes. All right, so let's share my screen and we'll kick this session off. And what we're going to be covering today is the frame design. This is way too much responsibility for a guy like me who's usually focused on the more artsy, surfacing, wild idea type stuff, not the very constrained and robust and high stakes design aspects. but we're going at it. And like I said earlier, a shout out to Shreyas for teaching me all that I know about frame design. Nice. But this isn't only going to be about structural members or weldments, as you might expect. We're going to cover all kinds of features and some features that you absolutely probably wouldn't expect me to cover. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to take all these and organize them into a list because I have been especially busy lately. And this is like one of the 1.5 times that I've actually clicked through this workflow. So there's going to be a lot of live diagnostics as we get going. But the very first thing, first off, this is all going to be in SOLIDWORKS Desktop. I do have one 3D Experience connection application running, and that is Collaborative Designer for SolidWorks, because what that does is it pops open a little 3D Experience task pane because we store all of our data on the platform. So I could just do a little search through my files that are on the online database. You can see I just search frames, so I get 23 results. Apparently these guys are really good at designing frames. I'm not sure, but they showed up in the results, and we're going to filter this down, obviously. I'm going to, let's go down to part files, and we'll hear from Shreyas later in the night. So I just want to see the files that I've created. And then that will go ahead and filter those down. Oops. All right, let's get this thing open. Here we go. All right, so this file is half-baked. It's got some data inside of it already. The first thing that we see here is the model that Jason had created for us, which is awesome. And I've also got like a little side profile because I'm not going to bore you with creating a boring 2D sketch, right? And the one thing that I learned about, hypercars and the chassis design is there is no room spared for comfort at all. I mean, like even that, like, come on, give the guy some leg room to drop his feet down a little bit. Like it's terrible. I would not want to be a race car driver whatsoever.
Yeah, they're essentially jockeys, but they're on machines rather than horses.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's seriously crazy. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is just like clean up this model. I'm going to get rid of the wheels really quick. This is a multi-body design. If you know me, you know my favorite thing is multi-body design. I'm going to start off with some really kind of lame tips first. How would I delete those wheels, Andy? Maybe select all 4 of these and hit delete?
Sure.
No, that's way too much work. Way too much work. You select on this and you delete it, and then you keep that and it deletes everything else, right? Good okay. Tip. All right. Yeah, not bad. Okay, so guess what? Over on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see that I've got kind of like a timeline going here because, like I said, I haven't clicked through this a lot, so it's kind of my little visual of what I'm supposed to talk about and show next. So, but also for the viewers' benefit of being able to follow along what's coming up next and how to rewind and get back to that point where I was covering slicing, which I'll be covering in just a second.
Nice.
And here's probably my lamest tip tonight. We're starting off slow and then it's going to get really good. I'm going to control drag a plane to create a copy of it. I hope everyone has known that one. If you've ever attended any kind of top tricks of user group meeting before, you've seen it. Okay, nice. So the reason I'm creating this plane is because what we're going to be creating is a 3D sketch. And let's imagine that we had a completed 3D sketch of the frame. How would we know if there was any interference between a 3D sketch and Jason's awesome model that we're seeing here transparent right now? We really wouldn't, right? Because the visibility of a sketch entity is the exact same whether it's covered by a transparent model or not. So it's not the most ideal situation. So what's a great workaround is a new tool that they added a couple of years ago, and that is the slice tool. Actually, I misspelled it. I said slice, and it's actually slicing. So that's impressive that it found it in the command search.
Quite surprised that it did. Very cool.
Yeah. All right. So what we're going to do here is if we take a look at this side profile, I've got 1, 2, 3. I'm looking at like the connection points, the nodes where these members are matching up. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So we're going to bump this up to 8 because the very first one is counted as well. Then we're just going to crank this up until we're maybe like aligned with the very last one. All right. So they're not perfectly aligned with where I need them to be, but this tool is pretty magical. As soon as I hit OK, it's going to think for a second, but in a short amount of time, check this out. What it did is it added an intersection curve at every point where each one of those planes crossed the geometry that was there. And any geometry that would be there, if I left the wheels there, it would be cutting a cross section through there too and updating that. And one of the amazing things about this is, first off, let's make this a little easier to see. So we know that, let's see here. If I expand the new slice folder, which is also a nice part about the tool, it organizes it all for you.
Yeah.
I can control select this sketch and control select that sketch and that one and go on and on and on. That's kind of slow, right? We're trying to show you some shortcuts here. So the best thing to do is in your filter bar at the top of your tree, just type in SKE. There's all your sketches. And now I can select this one and shift select that one. And something I always do, especially when creating weldments and stuff, because you have sketch geometry going all over the place, you're going to want to assign color to this. Okay. You want to differentiate your sketches, because if they're all this gray color, you're not going to know what is what, and it's going to get so confusing. So let's pick like a pale cyan there. Since I picked a darker one for the side profile. And now we can see very clearly what's happening here. Clearly the front of Jason's design is kind of just like, I don't know, a little bat wing, and then it morphs into a frog, and then the frog gets tired and closes its eyes and then gets kind of evil and grows some horns. I don't know.
It's the Batman.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it could be. Yeah, I like that. That's better. So colors are useful, and this tool is pretty amazing, because if we take a look at the planes, let's show the planes. Why aren't my planes being shown right now? Well, I got to turn them on. These planes aren't even shown anyway, so that's okay. Let's come over to this. Let's skip the first one. Let's go to this one. And Instant 3D is always active whenever you see those little blue dots, right? Those blue dots mean that you can drag them and move them around. And here's what's amazing, Andy. As I drag this, it's kind of jagged because it's like rebuilding. It's thinking as it's going.
Yeah.
But look at that.
Yeah.
It's updating. It's staying associative with the geometry. And that's just, in my mind, pretty amazing. And here's why it's especially amazing, because if I go ahead and show the tangent edges, by the way, you got to have a keyboard shortcut for tangent edges, right? Especially if, like Andy and I, you're into surface modeling and stuff like that. Sometimes it's beneficial to know where they are, so you could select the edges really quickly. But I mean, like, what a mess this looks like. But the cool thing about that is it was traversing across, it was going from face to face, right? And it was still maintaining its, you know, these entities got created when we passed this little point right here. Before that, it was just one smooth entity and it separated. So amazing stuff going on with this. This is the intersection, what is it? Intersection curve. Yeah, so it's just doing that over and over again. And by the way, if you're looking for a recommendation for keyboard shortcuts, what I do for most of my favorite keyboard shortcuts is just do Alt key, whatever letter the tool begins with, because that's readily available. And my thumb just naturally kind of sits on the Alt key. So it's really easy. So Alt T for tangent edges and Alt G to make them gone. And they're right next to each other. So it works out well. All right, what if I wanted to hide all the tangent edges? No, before we do that, let's follow my list right here. What is this icon right here, Andy? The little mesh looking thing? Have you ever seen that?
No.
See it on the left? On my timeline?
Yeah.
Features? Yeah.
I was looking at that before. Like what? Yeah. I honestly don't know what that is. I'm not screwing with you right now. I was like, what's happening?
So what this is I just want to show another use case for that slicing tool. And what I've done is I've saved Jason's body out as an STL file.
Nice.
And if you know anything about STL files, they are a mess of triangulated faces, right? It's just crazy. And one of the other activities that is consuming even more time than a 24-hour CAD design marathon is me preparing for the What's New 2022 rollout, which a little shout out to September 16th on our YouTube live channel. We're going to be making a bunch of announcements of the new enhancements, but also be on the lookout for your resellers, their launch events, and there you'll learn everything there is to know about the new release. The reason I bring that up is because it's just a terrible tease because I can't tell you anything about it yet. But this is getting, what I'm doing right now, like, might not even be necessary in 2022. But that's all I could say. I'm under an NDA. Okay. All right. So what if, first off, a lot of people use software to create really crazy surfacing stuff that creates geometry that looks like this. And then people engineers like us need to figure out, like, how am I going to make this manufacturable? And that's like really tough because you're not going to machine all these triangulated faces. So let's say we were stuck with this. We would need a way to do it. So if I fire up the slicing tool, what's amazing about this is not only can we do kind of like the exact same thing I did before. Let's go ahead and pick this like right plane and crank up the quantity of cross sections and bump them out. I don't care. It doesn't have to be precise because we're not actually using this. But this little checkbox right here, exact, I'm going to turn that off. Because if we had exact on, the intersection curve would actually traverse across every single triangulated face. What this does is it goes ahead and it's going to take a little longer to think about it because it's doing more than it did even the last time. It's doing a fit spline on every single one of those intersections. And if I change the color of this really quick, we could see it with some evidence. I'll just make this like a bright green. And look at that, Andy. It's perfectly smooth. Now we could just go ahead and create like some loft features to blend these cross sections together. And so if you're downloading stuff off of like Thingiverse or something like that, I'm getting a little feedback. Are you hearing that, Andy?
I am hearing that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't my setup. All right, but you'd be able to like kind of take something from Thingiverse, which is all 3D printed files, STLs type stuff, and actually turn it into real geometry, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's get back here. Again, I'm just going sporadically all over the place. I kind of feel like Jason. Like what?
Wait, so what was that? What was that weird icon?
That was our mesh body icon. So when you insert a mesh body, it is a unique body. It's not a solid body. It's a mesh body.
All about mesh bodies, man.
All right, man.
I've never seen. I'm telling
the audience, dude.
Before. Where is that feature? Where is that feature icon? Show it to me. Show me the feature icon.
No.
Did you make that?
I searched mesh through our icon library and that was there. It's a feature. It's a real feature. I'll tell you later.
I'm pretty sure when you do convert, are you talking about convert to mesh body? That's a different looking feature icon.
You know what? Maybe it's a simulation one then. All right. And I picked the wrong icon. And maybe you're calling me out for it and not letting me get by. And we're going to be over time because we're talking about an icon on my PowerPoint.
I just don't want people to be like looking for this like voxel brick meshing icon when they're trying to play with their thing from Thingiverse.
All right. Okay. Fine.
Settle down.
The rest of the icons will be accurate, I promise. I got a little stressed with that one. I just picked the first one I saw. How are you not going to let that go, though? Like, that is like the one thing that I definitely like used a little liberty to just be like, yeah, whatever. I love it. So good. All right. So can't get anything by Andy. The next thing is going to be, how would I hide this? How would you hide all those sketches? Just the slice sketches and keep the side profile.
Poke the eyeball.
Oh, all right.
Just poke it. But then everything goes.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
So what magic man?
You got? What do you got up your sleeve, man?
All right. So, okay. The first thing that we could do is we can do this trick again, SKE. But then once we select this, shift select it, I never want to shift select ever again or filter ever again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click in space and hit save selection. Yes. I do this all the time, especially for multi-bodies, because in multi-body design, there are, especially when you get into weldments, there's cut list folders. So every solid body is separated into a little folder. You can't like shift select them all. You got to expand all the folders, control click, shift click, all kinds of stuff to get all the bodies that you want. And then the next time you got to select them, you got to do it all over again. Yeah. So what you do here is you select what you need. It could be sketches, it could be edges, it could be vertices. It's crazy. You could use selection sets in all kinds of different ways. I'm just going to save this to a new selection. And now up here in my selection sets folder, right here, I just, boom, click it. And I've got all those sketches selected like that in one click. I can rename this to be whatever I want. So I'll just call it slices. And now that's it. It's right at the top of my feature tree, very accessible. I'm going to give you a pro tip here. If I want to hide everything, you would think you would right click on this and then the hide button would be there. That's not the case. I wish it was, maybe an enhancement next year. You got to click on it once, like a regular left click, and then right click and clear space in the graphics area. And now all the right click menu would come up that would if you actually right clicked on all those sketches, and you can go ahead and hide it.
Okay. So then it's treating it as like the feature. So
so right now, right click, show. Left click to select, right click to hide. And then there's the other benefit too. What if I just want to see those things momentarily? Just boom, select it. And we see the highlighted preview and then click off in space and it's gone. How cool is that?
Very cool. Yeah. Selection sets are like so handy. I can't tell you how many times I've like had to go and individually select like 50 faces.
Yeah.
And I make like the one wrong click. Like I click in space instead of clicking the thing that I want. And then they're all gone. It's like,
You know, though, that you can right click and do previous selection on the right click menu, which is very useful.
Yeah, I found that out. Like
only if it's a very, very last selection. a lot of times what I've found, which we need to make an adjustment for this scenario, like we need 2 selections back because my accidental selection was selecting something else, like a new piece of geometry, and it wasn't like clicking off in space. And then it's like the previous selection is that thing now.
Right.
So yeah.
Good point.
Anywho, let's move on. Let's actually make geometry now. How about that?
Heck yeah. Yeah, I thought we were building a frame. What's going on?
I know, right? This is me. I get off on a lot of tangents, man. All right, so we're going to use this sketch right here and side profile. Yeah, I didn't want to bore you creating that. We're just going to extrude it, so nothing special here. I hope everyone's using the right-click menu for selecting weird end conditions like the mid-plane, so you don't have to actually find the drop-down menu and do it all there. And I don't know how wide this needs to be. Let's just make it about there because we're going to cut it away. We're not actually going to make it that wide, right? I think I can hide this sketch now. And I need to now address the top profile. So nothing fun here. Andy, if you want to tell us a story or spin the wheel of conversation topics, I'm just going to draw a pretty regular Joe Schmo sketch right here.
I like it. You were previously on our last session, you were talking about how that kids ride shotgun thing is like a death trap. And then I literally went and like when my kid asked me if we could go ride on it. And I was like, we went in the woods behind my house, which we've never done before because the trails back there are like kind of sketch. And like I just had that in my head the whole time. I'm like, we're going to go over the handlebars and I'm going to tell Jordan I can't come on the session because we're in the hospital because I'm a bad dad. But we had a blast and I got super sweaty and I had to take like my second shower of the day. So there's my story.
That's a great story. And you like timed it perfectly because I just added my last dimension. And Too Tall Toby would be very happy. I got rid of all the blue and made this sketch fully defined.
Fully defined every time.
All right, so we're going to extrude cut this thing. This is, I hope this is not a trick or tip to anyone. Through both directions, and obviously you can flip the side to cut, right? Like I drew in closed contour. Let's cut everything outside of it, and there is my frame. The hard part's done, right? So what defined this geometry? It was the 2 sketches. And what if I wanted to change like the top profile? I would have to like come searching through here and I'd be like, oh, sketch 12, name your critical sketches, right? Definitely, so let's just call this top profile.
Love it.
And what about the side profile? If I want to change, that's nested inside of this feature. It's kind of hard. Like, oh, I got to remember it's boss extrude 2 and da, 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 da. Hey, what helps with that is obviously breadcrumbs. Right? Because you could go click on that feature and then, oh, it was made with the top profile. So that's cool. Yeah. But imagine we didn't have breadcrumbs. And it's still a few more clicks than what I'm about to show you. You can select these 2 sketches and add them to your favorites.
Nice.
So this is like if you're doing, Andy, you and I know the master modeling technique. We use that all the time, right? Where everything's based on like one master sketch. We always put that right at the top of our tree. Look, there's nothing above it. It's right there. It's super easy to find. And if I want to change its entire design, I go to one of these 2 sketches and modify them. Absolutely. Very basic. All right. So, yeah, I need to add a draft to this because remember, my job is to protect the driver and to make his ride or her ride as uncomfortable as possible. So he has way too much headspace right now.
Yeah, get rid of that.
I got to draft it in and like cramp it in. So like he can't even turn his head either way. It's just like hitting the crossbars or the roll cage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a sketch on the side plane. And what we want to do here is just split it. So I'm gonna fire up the line command. And how would you split this, Andy?
I'd use the split tool.
Trick question. It was that easy. It's a split command.
Were you thinking like, because some people don't necessarily know that you can do it with a 2D sketch? And you can like create a plane or something? Or
you might need to create a plane. You might need to create a surface that extends past the boundaries of the model. No, because sketch resides on a 2D plane. That 2D plane defines a direction that sketch would be projected. So that's enough information for us. The next question asked in this property manager is, what bodies do we want to split? It's that one, the only one on the screen. And then we just need to use that tool to cut the bodies. Now it shows us that the resulting bodies is this. And this tool can be intimidating to some people because as soon as you fire it up, you're presented with like part templates and assembly templates.
It's going to propagate elsewhere. It's going to create more files.
Yeah, you're like, what is going on? Right. So what I do typically is I just cancel out of those template prompts, because if I'm just trying to split a body and keep it in this part file, that's all I need. The reason I didn't see it is because I have default templates set up. So if you do that, you can avoid it. But those templates are super powerful, because what you can do in the master modeling approach, when you're modeling something like this mouse, no one is going to model this top part and then model this side part and then model the bottom part all separately and then assemble them together. They're going to make this out of a single solid chunk of material, split it apart using a split tool, and then save each one of those split bodies into separate part files. Yeah. Then they could shell it out, add ribs, do whatever they need. We're not taking it that far. We're just splitting it. So that's why I said you could just ignore the part templates, ignore the assembly template. And here's a little tip right here. Anything you check is going to be kept. So you could like omit a bunch of bodies as well that you don't want to keep. But a quick way is select everything. Sometimes you have like 50 resulting bodies. Just click the scissors and it'll select everything in the column.
Nice. What I was thinking about while you were talking about like, oh, it's a 2D, it's a line on a 2D sketch. So obviously it can be like extruded out, extruding a surface. I was thinking about when we were watching, you watched a little bit of Marcus's session as well. And like sheet metal weldments, well, I don't need to know surfacing stuff, right? I'm not creating organic geometry. I'm creating like clunky, like, if you understand surface modeling, all of the other stuff makes much more sense, right? Weldments, sheet metal. Like I think like if you want to figure out why your sheet metal part isn't flattening, if you know about surfacing, you're gonna be able to figure it out much easier. So take a surfacing class. It'll help you with everything SolidWorks related. Yeah.
Everything is based on surfaces for sure. 100%. I totally agree.
You're drafting here around the blue face is the neutral plane.
That's it. What are the pink faces?
The faces that you're going to draft.
Yeah.
So you're going to go 5 degrees. Now, this is my problem. Are you going 5 degrees in or 5 degrees out? I never know.
You want to know how I taught myself to know?
You go a big value and then you look. That's what I do. I do a really big one, and then I go, oh, it's going out. And then I make it small again.
The guy that could make sense of 600 nodes in a graph layout has never figured out the logic behind. All right. Well, it's probably not the most straightforward logic, but this is what my brain came up with. So this arrow is representative of the direction that the tooling is going to be releasing from the part. So if the tooling is being released this way, we know that it will draft inward so it could fall out of that die.
Right. Remember, you're pulling the pan off of the muffin. You're not pulling the muffin out of the pan, right?
There you go, man. You got it. So
that's what I told watch me be wrong. Class.
No, it was right. It was wrong.
That would have been perfect.
That would have been great.
And I'm wrong.
Let's bump this back over to 25. Let's not suffocate him. Let's just make him really uncomfortable. Okay, so there we go. That's what it did. It wherever this face intersected this plane, the neutral plane, and what it means by neutral is that all these edges stay stationary. Right. They do not move. They stay neutral. everything else moves about them. So this face rotated in 25 degrees, this face rotated in, and they're all pivoting on the edges that intersect that neutral plane. That's how draft works. And why am I doing this to a solid body? We'll get to that soon. But for now, let's just bring back the bottom half of it. And by the way, did you notice like when I shift, everyone knows tab to hide a body, shift tab to show it. Here's a cool one too. Let me do this. Control shift tab shows all the hidden bodies temporarily. And then you click on the ones that you want to keep.
No.
Yeah, man. Control shift tab.
You just blew my mind, dude.
Isn't that awesome? All right, nice.
I've literally never sat through one user group session ever given by anyone where I didn't learn something. Like there's always something where I'm like, I had absolutely no idea that icon looked like that.
It only took 31 minutes, but I'm proud of myself.
All
right. So we drafted. Now we combine. I'm sorry, I've got no tricks with combine feature. It's like you click the two bodies and add them together. All right.
This is very
moving
exciting.
On.
Good.
The 3D sketch command. Are you ever excited to draw a 3D sketch, Andy?
The only time, I wouldn't say excited, but I am not worried if I know that I can go from one point to another point. You know what I mean? Like that's the if I like 3D sketch splines, I am not touching those unless I'm going from a vertex to a vertex.
It's the worst. I mean,
and then hopefully I have like edges that I can like make tangent to, right?
Oh, yeah, and style splines aren't even enabled in 3D sketches, are they?
I
don't think
they
so.
are. I just don't think they work very well.
Okay. Well,
I could be wrong.
Either way, we gave it a huge endorsement.
But seriously, the only time I use 3D splines is when I'm going from one point to another point. So that's a 2-point spline. So I'm probably not going to use a style spline. I'm just
Okay. So how hard was it for me to create this geometry? Couple of an extrude cut, separate the bodies and draft it. I arguably could have drafted without separating the bodies. We'll get to that in a little bit. But
I didn't want to bring it up, but okay. Anyways.
Right. Yeah, I know that, dude. All right. It wasn't hard to make this geometry whatsoever. Super easy to update, right? Because all the driving sketches are for all this is a top profile and a side profile, and I can change it all. 3D sketch, the easiest. Whoop, that's a 2D sketch.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The easiest 3D sketch in the world is my favorite tip right here. Click an edge, hit Control A. Because you pre-selected an edge, it'll select all the edges.
Nice.
And then convert the entities.
Nice.
Done. Dude, if we edit the top profile or we edit the side profile, that's going to update the feature that was below it. And that's going to update the 3D sketch and we're done. And we're going to do that in our design change. But just trust me for now. Isn't that awesome?
Nice. Very cool. Yes.
That's my favorite tip.
I didn't know the Control A thing. I think I've always like gone into convert entities and then just done a big window select.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
But then I'm always like, did it select the edges on the backside? It did. I know that it will, but I still like rotate around and like check it. So if it's like really complex, I'm always like, did it really happen? I don't even know.
Yeah, for sure. I've been there for sure. Definitely. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to create finally a structural member.
I know. I thought this thing was on like Weldments. What's happening
I know,
here?
man. I'm sorry. But as you can see, with many things in life, the hard work is done up front.
Yeah.
The easy part is now.
Yeah, adding the structural members is not the difficult part. It's like all that underlying geometry.
Right. So the thing to know here is that there's a couple of rules. And while you're doing this, there's this thing called groups. And this was added, man, how many years ago? It was a while ago.
Yeah.
But when they came out, it was the biggest deal ever because especially for me, because I do all kinds of like home construction projects, and I use weldments all the time for that. And the rules here is every point needs to be connected end to end, or they need to be parallel. Okay. So yeah, when I'm selecting, because this one is, or let me start a new group here. It didn't let me select that, by the way, because I was still in that group, right? And a little bit of knowledge about space frame design. These are called hoops. And you create the hoops first because they all need to be very robust connections to each other. In fact, the main hoop, this one right here that goes over the driver's head, is supposed to have fillets there. I just didn't add them because I was lazy, because that's supposed to be one continuous tube. And
wow, they just bend the tube.
Andy.
What happened? What did you do?
It should be able to select this, right? End to end, right? What the heck is going on here? Hold on.
I don't know if this is planned or not.
Let's see what's going on at this corner.
Oh, what? I got an idea.
You do?
Yeah. It's because of the draft.
Yes. That's not an idea, though. That's like that's a diagnosis.
You wanted a solution?
Yeah. Like an idea is providing some useful information, I thought. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, dude. Oh, by the way, let me edit this sketch, because we do want at least a cross member right here for the. Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, the hoop should at least go around the bottom. I like how you're like, everybody's safety is like in my hands, and then you're like, I didn't fill it this like super important thing because I'm lazy.
Yeah, but you know what? So this did happen because of draft, right? Because it's like compound angles, and then they don't meet they don't have the same seam at the top where they intersect the top, and then that crosses over.
I've got an idea for a solution. I'm gonna be pumped if it's your your solution too. Delete all of those lines and just draw new ones.
Perfect.
Because now you got like the 2 points, right? And that's when it's okay to do a 3D sketch, is when you got 2 points. It's really easy.
Guys, everyone in the audience is going to think we rehearsed that. We did not.
I literally we didn't have time to rehearse. We didn't even rehearse my session. We really should have.
I don't think Andy even ever successfully completed that model. Anyways, that would have been the first time. What? No, I'm kidding.
No. I did successfully complete it. I just didn't do it all uninterrupted. I was always getting interrupted. So I'm like, I think it's between 20 and 45 minutes. Yeah.
But Andy, you're exactly right. Like, that took no dimensions. That took no relations. Right. I was just connecting black fully defined dot to black fully defined dot. These are going to update just fine. And we're going to ignore that little jagged edge in between, because we just bypassed it. So that's perfect.
Devil's advocate. That's gonna blow up if you change like a top profile sketch, right? Like if you change one of the master sketches, that breaks.
It may or may not, man. It totally depends. It totally depends on the draft angle, if that edge is still maintained or not.
Okay.
Oh, you don't sound too confident in my confidence.
Wait, are you gonna do it? Are you gonna update it?
Yeah, we're gonna update it. Of course we are.
All right. Okay. I'm excited now.
Yeah, no, I'm already worried about time. Where are we at? 33 or 38? I can't see.
38.
Ah, dang it. Okay.
Could you window select those hoops?
Hey, man, that would save some time, wouldn't it? Yeah. I can. And I knew that, and I don't know why I was doing it like this. I think it was because I wanted to be like very deliberate about like, oh, I got to do a new group first.
Yeah.
There we go. About the connections to each other. But yes, you're absolutely right. Now that the audience understands what's going on, this is a much faster method. And one of the things that you want to pay attention to when you're doing weldments, and remember I said earlier, like this enhancement, the groups, you're probably wondering like, why do you hype it up so much? It's not that big of a deal. The reason it's a big deal is because the order of trimming happens based on the order you select everything. So the most important members, the hoops, I created them first because they're all connected to each other.
Right.
and everything else will downstream will trim to it. So there you have it. Like that is the order of operation that this would actually kind of be manufactured in. That's what it's representative of. So yeah, I'm just creating a new group, going on and on and on. Windows selecting these guys, and we'll be done in, Andy, tell another 30-second story.
Well, I was really excited to go to Atlanta because Jordan told me that Killer Mike from Run the Jewels has a record shop, and I love records.
I didn't know.
I was telling him that today, and he's like, "Do you mean the barber shop? Because Killer Mike has a barber shop in Atlanta. I don't know what you're talking about with the record store."
But I'm sure we can find a record store to get you to add to your collection when we're in Atlanta, for sure.
But I will go to Killer Mike's barbershop and get a sick fade because I've never had one. And I think that would be funny to do like right before a big presentation.
Yes. And risky. You could also do it like after your last presentation.
No, dude. No net.
Okay.
No net.
Live on the edge, for sure. By the way, just to continue on with my theme of always coloring all my sketches, that just makes it so much easier to see what's going on.
I like it.
So yeah, if we take a look at like what's going on now, would I want to put this together and cut all those copes and stuff like that? I don't know. Not me. That's manufacturing to worry about. But the software is doing what I told it to do, and that is it's trimming the hoop together first, and then everything that came second is trimming to those previous structural members. So it just becomes like super intuitive about what is going to happen in what order when you pick it in that way. And Marcus Brown is a fan of RTJ. That's awesome. Nice. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, I think we're done, right? No, cross members.
I don't think
zigzag a few across there. No big deal. I am now going to send this over to, by the way.
I was like looking at the next feature icon, and I'm like, that is my phone's voicemail icon. What is happening right now?
I'm going to send it over to Shreyas, who has been waiting for this to update. By the way, I could just right-click, save this right back up to the cloud.
Nice.
But let's see what Shreyas has to say about this particular design, and let's see.
Hey, Jordan. How's it going?
You can hear this, right, Andy?
I wanted to reach out to you, tell you that I ran some simulation on our first design iteration, and the results look pretty great. I think we have a really great first design that we can build on. Though I also have some recommendations based on the simulation results that I feel can be a great improvement in our second iteration. So let me quickly show you a couple things. So the first thing that I definitely would like to see is if we can add a few cross members, if we can create that load path for the forces to transfer laterally and also longitudinally along the chassis, that will be great. I definitely saw a few hotspots on particular members or on particular nodes of the chassis in our first iteration. So I think we should definitely try and avoid that. The second thing would be if we can just taper out the side impact structure of the chassis and then on the top side and just taper in it on the bottom side, also leaving some clearance for all the ducting, wire ducting and things like that. I think that'll be great. And then if we could add a fillet and avoid that sharp edge, that sharp corner on the roll cage structure, I think it will distribute the stresses more evenly there as well. So yeah, these are just a few things that I noticed from based on the simulation results. And I don't know, let me know what your thoughts are. I think I'll definitely run a new simulation if we get these changes, and then see how it goes from there. Thanks, Jordan. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
All right. So it looks
just a couple changes. Just like you're almost done. You thought you were done, and he's like, just redo the entire thing.
Yeah. So cut me some slack, man. Right? Like,
yeah.
So, oh geez, this is gonna. We've got some work to do, man. We've definitely got some work to do. So give me a second here. Some technical difficulties. I just restarted SolidWorks because it was acting kind of laggy in between, full disclosure. So hopefully it's not anymore. Let's bring it back.
There it is.
I'm gonna jump ahead to where we left off. So I'm opening the model that I had saved kind of like halfway through. And man, I hope you caught all that we had to modify, Andy, because that was a lot. And I was kind of like preoccupied while Shreyas was saying all that. But I'm going to give him what he wants, man. He's a smart guy. I trust him a lot more than I trust myself. So let's do this. Here's a huge tip. And something everyone should be aware of. The first thing that you do when you go to make changes is you roll the rollback part all the way to the top, right? Yeah. And then you start at the top and work your way down because you follow the same order that the part was made in the very first place. But there are some things that we know we're not going to be modifying, and that includes the slices and all that stuff, right? So I'm going to drag this yellow bar up at the top, down below, the slices. And then you get this like little lock icon. You know what that's called, right, Andy?
Feature freeze.
Feature freeze. Yes. So if you don't know what the feature freeze bar is, it is just search FREE inside of the options, and it'll show you right on the first page of the system options. You can enable that. I don't know why you wouldn't want it enabled. And what this means is every time I make a change downstream, it's not going to waste time recalculating everything above it. Right. Save me a lot of rebuild time. You know what? I think I was going to do that after this because the first thing that I need to modify is a side sketch, which is somewhere above the actual extrusion feature. So let's just do that really quick. Where's the side profile sketch? Right here in my favorites feature.
Boom.
So I don't even need to edit that. Let's just go in here without editing the sketch and type in a new value, like 1600, just to make a change. Okay. Now watch this. Everything is going to update. The cross members are going to update. The model, because of 3D Sketch, updated from the underlying solid body. So that's cool. Pretty long rebuild time, again, because it was calculating a lot of things that it didn't need to. So subsequent rebuild time should be a lot faster. Right. Let's move on to the next step. I'm just going to roll up to this top feature. We already looked at that extrude. I don't need to change anything else about it. How about the top cut extrude? Oh, sorry to disappoint, Andy. We are on limited time. I don't need to change anything with that either. But we do need to change this parting line. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this, because one of the other things that he had on his sketch but he didn't mention is that we need to make more arm space for the driver. So let's go ahead and make this transparent so we can see what I'm talking about a little bit. Is that it? No. See, this is why I like selection sets.
Yeah.
Right? Because you had to expand the folder to get to what you were looking for. Oh my gosh. We're leaving that guy no room to spare. And your big cushiony seat, Shreyas tells me that like, no, the seats are made out of like sheet metal. They're like 10 millimeters thick of padding maximum. So that would be horrid. Anyways, let's split this into two. And this is kind of dangerous, right, Andy? Because everything that was related to this sketch entity is now going to be related to one of these two sketch entities. And I don't know, maybe someone in R&D can tell us the logic for how it chooses which one to stay attached to, but I am totally unaware of that. And we need to, the reason we're doing this is because we want to add a little bit of shoulder room for this poor guy. So we're going to bring that down like so about. Let's throw a dimension on there just to be proper. What's that at? 645. Let's round it down to like 625-ish. Okay.
I'll allow it.
Okay, thank you. And then we've got the parting line. That looks good. Let's go down to the next feature. The split, that updates as we would expect it to. So good, good, good. The draft feature, good.
Yep.
That looks weird, right?
Yep,
well, look at what happened. The original split created the face on the bottom of that top body. Yep. We picked that face for the neutral plane.
Yep.
That line was split in two, essentially two faces downstream. So it kept one of them as a neutral plane.
Yep.
This one, because the edges match up and stay neutral. But this one over here, it separates because if you take a look at the side, the neutral plane is actually an angle that's coming all the way down here. And this theoretical surface where it intersects that angled plane is where the pivot point is, which cuts it inside of that edge.
Yes,
so
I agree with all of that.
I'm going to do what you had already thought about in your head. I know you have. And that is,
yeah.
I didn't need to split the bodies.
Central Texas user group, or Connecticut user group, as you call them, also called that.
All right. So, Steve, to make it up to you, Dallas, Texas.
There you go. All right.
Central Texas. We're even now. Shout out to Central Texas, one of tonight the best user group in the world.
Moving. We get so little time.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God, you're right. All right. So oh God. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to switch it to parting line. And rather than selecting the angled face, we're going to select the top plane. Are we seriously going to have to do another bonus session? My God, I'm terrible.
I mean, you might. I'm going to bed.
All right, we're going to pick edges instead of a face to define the parting edge.
Love it.
So now each face is going to have that edge as its pivoting point. So a lot more information for it to react differently. And let's see what this looks like. Oh, of course. I didn't pay attention. Even when you pick the right direction the first time, it will flip it on you just to remind you that SolidWorks always picks the wrong direction initially. Because it's more funny that way.
It does add a little, keeps you awake. You know?
Yes. All right. Let's bump this down to like 20 or something. Again, I don't want to injure that guy. All right, let's bring back these solid bodies. We are going to have to hustle. Oh my gosh. You know what? I say we hijack Toby's wrap up tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
Tony just from the Connecticut user group. Yeah, we should actually SolidWorks is the desk is telling us we can save it for Toby's wrap up session tomorrow. So don't get too worried. Just do what you can do.
Okay.
Don't stress. Yeah.
We're doing all right, actually. Yeah. I'm foreseeing this. You know what? We'll skip that fillet. You wanted me to round that off.
I was waiting for that. I wanted to know what was going to happen with that fillet, but I'm okay. I'll survive.
It's really not that big of a deal. I don't want to waste time sketching. You just added a fillet in a 3D sketch, and then you move this line. You use replace entities to move that line so that the weldment stays connected.
Yes, that's what I was wondering. Is it's going to lose that edge? What happens?
There's a replace entities command highlighted right now.
It. Yep.
Okay. The other thing that we needed to do was to draft the bottom side. Shoot. Okay. So that's before the combine feature. 6 minutes. I got this, Andy. I got this. We do not need Toby's time tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm laughing because Eric Beatty said for his next modeling presentation, Jordan will be creating a shovel so he can dig himself out of the hole that he's putting himself in with Steve Calvert.
So
but
awesome.
For real, I think I'm actually gonna make a shovel. They're cool shapes. I'm gonna make one in X shape and then do it with X mold. Yeah.
Let's do it. That would be a great user group meeting.
Yeah.
And it has a great story behind it. So look, I'm just doing parting line again. Right?
Yeah.
And we're going to pick the right direction this time. Of course, it's the wrong direction. It's amazing. How does it do that? How does it know?
It just knows, man.
And we do not need that tight of an angle.
You sure?
Like
came in on itself in the back.
It'd be so dangerous.
I think you might. I think you missed an edge in the back. It's like asymmetric.
Yeah. You're right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That just wasted another, let's see, 12 seconds. Good. We're good.
It'll be fine, probably.
All right. Yeah, let's see what happens. We're going to roll down here.
Woo. Combined. Not terribly worried about that.
No. That's like the easiest, one of the easiest commands. And what would you say is the easiest command in SolidWorks?
Extrude?
No way. Way too many options. Cut with surface. One selection box,
one
pick
side
a direction.
or the other. Well, you got to do some pre-work up to that. This is
whatever.
We have 4 minutes left.
All right. So look at this. The sketch is perfect, but you know what? I'm going to fast forward ahead because watch. If I come down here and rebuild the weldments, it's going to look, I think, like a hot mess. Yes. Yeah, it's terrible. Right. Things are missing everywhere.
Yeah.
But again, what did we learn last time, Andy, the last time I added draft?
The lines don't line up necessarily?
Yes.
Boom.
Those ones look good.
Oh, there we go.
Right there.
Oh, yeah.
So what are we going to do this time? Higher stakes this time. We already have the structural member that's referencing these members.
Ooh. I know. Get rid of the convert entities, get rid of the on edge relation and drag the vertex onto the point.
Yes.
Nobody's gonna believe we didn't we didn't rehearse this.
I mean, dude, we've spent too many modeling sessions together.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah.
We're too much alike. Anyways, I did do one thing. Pre-selected all those and hitting display delete relations. Did you know will filter to the selected entities? So now you could just pre-select those and hit delete all. It gets rid of all of them at once. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And then you just need to come over here and drag these onto into place. All right. So I promise you, if I do that and if I roll down, it will rebuild perfectly. Okay.
I believe you.
I believe me too. And I hope some people do. But what I'm going to use the last 2 minutes for is a little bonus section from my friend, Daniel McGinn, who is a product manager of a brand new 3D experience role called 3D Structure Creator. And I just want to show you how cool this is. Again, browser-based stuff, just 2 minutes, I promise. So let's come over to it and check this out.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being with us today. My name is Dan McGinn, and I'm one of the product managers for SolidWorks design and engineering roles. I'm very excited to have the opportunity to talk to you today about one of our newest design roles on the 3D Experience platform. 3D Structure Creator is a browser-based design role for creating structure and frame designs. I'll give a brief overview of the role and demonstrate a few unique features. In the spirit of Le Mans and the theme for this year's SLUGME event, I'll show off some functionality in 3D Structure Creator by designing a race car chassis. I'll start my chassis design with a skeleton sketch. I can freely select sketch segments in the graphics area to use as a reference for creating structure members. I can quickly access the structure member command from the pop-up context menu.
I just realized I thought I was being cute by putting that icon there, and it's totally overlapping all the graphics now.
Instead of selecting the remaining members one by one, I can activate the selection helper. The yellow lines show suggestions for additional selections. Manually selecting a few more references will improve the suggestions. A simple click of the button gives the go-ahead, and all the suggested sketch segments are selected.
Notice he was brave enough to include all those rounds as it should be designed.
Uncut continuous steel tubing. I'll use the merge members command to create a single member for the main hoop.
What?
Next, I'll add materials to my model. 3D Structure Creator includes hundreds of realistic materials to help you visualize an accurate representation of your final product. Options for materials include fabric, plastic, metal, paint, wood, and many more. I can change the ambience environment as well. The road ambience seems fitting for a race car.
Look at that.
With the design complete, I can generate a cut list for manufacturing with the push of a button. The cut list displays member properties such as the profile, quantity, material, length, and cut angle at either end. The cut list is automatically updated based on any design changes to the model. I hope you've enjoyed this detour from our main design project for a quick look at 3D Structure Creator. 3D Structure Creator works seamlessly with the other 3D Experience cloud design roles like 3D Creator and 3D Sheet Metal Creator. If you'd like to learn more about 3D Structure Creator or any of the other cloud...
Okay, it's 9 o'clock. That is it. We did it. And that is all we had to show, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. That was a real world process of going through and fixing a bunch of errors from crazy design changes. I hope you appreciated that. And thank you so much. We had a blast. 3 episodes in one day. And I'll see you for a minute on Shreyas's later tonight.